In the hush of a suburban night, where love's promises tangle with unspoken resentments, Maya clings to the fragile threads of her marriage like a lifeline. She's always been the peacemaker, bending under the weight of her husband's family, especially Aunt Rena's relentless tide of expectations that drowns out her own voice. But tonight, exhaustion cracks the facade, and with a trembling hand, she reaches for her phone to capture the unraveling. The camera shakes slightly. The camera shakes slightly in my hand, the lens catching the dim glow of my bedside lamp. It's late, too late for this. I lean back against the headboard, the closed bedroom door a flimsy barrier between me and the quiet house. But quiet? That's a joke. My phone buzzes on the nightstand, insistent, like it's got a right to interrupt. I ignore it for a second, rubbing my eyes. God, I'm so tired. Bone-deep tired. The kind that seeps in after another day of smiling through the chaos. Day. Whatever. I mutter to the camera, my voice low, like I'm afraid it'll carry. It's me again, spilling my guts to this thing, because who else listens without judging? Aunt Rena just called. Third time today. Just checking in, dear, she says, like it's casual. But it's not. She wants details. What did I make for dinner? Why didn't I text back sooner? As if our kitchen isn't hers to comment on already. I pause, the weight settling heavier. The screen lights up again. Not a call this time, but the family group chat exploding. Ping after ping. Aunt Rena's there, of course. Maya, Jamal mentioned you're feeling under the weather. Should I come over with soup? We can't have you pushing yourself. Emojis flood in. Hearts from cousins, thumbs up from uncles. Support? It feels like eyes everywhere. Watching, waiting for me to slip. My chest tightens. Tiredness twists into something sharper. Anxious, like I'm drowning in their care. Our townhouse, our sanctuary. It's not anymore. Unannounced drop-ins, turning the living room into a committee meeting. Help with the laundry that leaves my drawers rifled through. And this chat, it's endless surveillance. A digital leash pulling me back every time I try to breathe. I scroll back, see her messages from last week. Remember, family first. As if I could forget. I set the phone down, but the buzz lingers in my head. Jamal's asleep beside me, oblivious. His soft snores, a reminder he's trying too. But trying what? Peace? At what cost? I thought if I just endured, it'd get better. Let them in, keep the harmony. But now, it hits me, staring at this red light. Enduring isn't saving me. It's eroding me, piece by piece. What if saying no is the only way? Even if it scares the hell out of me? Even if it means everything changes? The camera wavers as I exhale, the question hanging unspoken. How do I hold on to myself when their love feels like a cage? A few days later, the camera shakes slightly, handheld, capturing the worn oak of our kitchen table like it's the anchor of my world. I lean against it now, fingers tracing the faint scratches from years of hurried meals. But my mind flickers back, cut to white lace and laughter. Our wedding day. Jamal and I, young and tangled in promise, sitting right here in this very spot before the chaos swallowed us. The table was smaller then, just us, carving out dreams over takeout. We'll decide everything together, he said, his hand over mine. Eyes lit with that fire. Respect, we called it. Partnership. Cut back. Present day. Muted grays filtering through the window. Aunt Rena's voice echoes from the living room, planning tomorrow's family barbecue without a glance my way. Jamal nods along, announcing the menu like it's gospel. Grilled chicken, potato salad, my famous cornbread sidelined again. Maya loves it simple, he says for me, as if my breath isn't catching in my throat. The table looms between us, once our confessional, now a battlefield of unspoken yields. I remember that first joint decision post-honeymoon, picking paint colors, me insisting on soft blue for calm, him deferring to his mother's practical beige. We laughed it off then, but now, nostalgia warms my chest, a soft glow of what was, until irritation creeps in like steam from the forgotten kettle. Why does respect feel like holding your breath underwater? Flash to another memory, us at this table, mapping our future, my voice weaving through his. No intrusions, just us building walls around our little world. But today, the wood feels heavier, scarred by endless family edicts dropped like crumbs. Jamal doesn't ask, he assumes. Aunt Rena doesn't pause, she overrides. And me? I'm the observer, watching my own life get portioned out. Tolerance has haunted me, even in these rituals, turning choices into echoes of silence. If I speak now, will the table hold? Or will it splinter, leaving me gasping for air in a family that claims to love? The question hangs, unanswered, as the kettle whistles, a sharp reminder that some things boil over if you don't turn them off. That evening, the doorbell chimed like a summons, pulling Maya from the half-hearted stir of soup on the stove. She wiped her hands on a dish towel, already bracing for the whirlwind. Aunt Rena swept in with a canvas tote bulging with Tupperware, her perfume, a cloying rose, trailing like smoke. "Oh, honey, I heard you were under the weather with that little one teething. Let me handle dinner. You look exhausted." Maya forced a smile, the kind that tugged at her cheeks like weights. Exhausted? Understatement. Why hadn't she organized better? Why let the house slip? She sank onto a stool by the kitchen table, its scarred wooden surface a silent witness, once a spot for lazy breakfasts with Jamal, now littered with Rena's timers and lists. Her fingers traced a familiar groove from years of family meals, but today it felt like a barrier, trapping her in place. Fatigue weighed on her eyelids as the clock ticked past 7. Rena rearranged the oven mitts, critiquing Maya's loose meal prep from earlier. "If you'd planned ahead, this wouldn't be such a scramble." Maya bit her lip, the words coiling inside. "It's our home, our pace." But she swallowed them, the old lie whispering, "If I just give more, they'll respect me." Jamal glanced in once, plate in hand, but retreated to the TV when Rena launched into a lecture on proper wifely rhythms. By 8, as Rena plated the food with flourish, "See? Easy when you follow the plan." Maya's tiredness curdled into something sharper, a low simmer of irritation bubbling up, her hands clenched under the table, nails digging into palms. This help was a takeover, the house no longer theirs. Jamal ate silently, avoiding her eyes, the distance between them stretching like the empty chairs at the table. How long before she snapped? How to push back without shattering the fragile peace she'd clung to? The dream of harmony in this marriage, this family. Rena finally gathered her things, but not before scheduling tomorrow's follow-up. "Call if you need adjustments, dear." The door clicked shut, leaving Maya staring at the kitchen table, its surface gleaming under the harsh light, a battlefield she'd yet to claim. The following afternoon, the cafe hummed with the low buzz of afternoon chatter, steam rising from mismatched mugs, like unspoken sighs. Maya slumped in the corner booth, her fingers tracing the rim of her untouched latte, eyes shadowed under the weight of another sleepless night. Across from her, Nina leaned in, her face a quiet anchor in the muted chaos. Warm brown skin glowing under the soft light, curls tied back with a scarf that screamed practicality. I don't know, Nina, Maya whispered, her voice cracking like thin ice. It's just, everything feels so heavy. Jamal's family, they're always there. Aunt Rena texts at dawn about dinner plans, drops by with just a quick check-in that turns into hours of rearranging our kitchen. And I smile, I nod, because what else? If I push back, it'll shatter us all. Her shoulders sagged deeper, fatigue etching lines around her mouth, a bone-deep weariness that made her words slur into defeat. She glanced away, afraid to name the suffocation clawing at her chest, the way their love wrapped around her like vines, tightening until she couldn't breathe. Nina reached across the table, her hand steady on Maya's trembling one. You're exhausted, Maya. Not just tired, eroded, like they're chipping away at you, one helpful intrusion at a time. Have you told Jamal how it's really hitting you? The way it smothers. Maya's breath hitched, eyes welling. I can't. What if he sides with them? What if saying it out loud makes me the villain? The confession hung there, raw and vulnerable, her internal storm brewing, guilt warring with the ache for air. But Nina didn't flinch. She pulled a worn notebook from her bag, its leather cover frayed at the edges, pages dog-eared from years of her own quiet rebellions. She flipped it open, revealing scribbled lists, boundaries named, triggers tracked, small victories circled in red. Look, Nina said, sliding it toward Maya, her voice firm but kind, a counterpoint to the family's relentless pull. This saved me when my own crew wouldn't back off. Start writing it down. The drop-ins, the texts, the way they override your no with their but family. Make a chronicle. You'll see the pattern, the slow creep of their control. It's not random. It's a siege. And once you name it, you can fight it. Boundaries aren't betrayal. They're breath. Maya's fingers brushed the notebook's rough surface, a spark igniting in her chest. Her voice, still shaky, gained an edge as she murmured, "It's not love if it traps me like this. The pressure. It's pressure, Nina. Not just family stuff." Trembling eased into resolve, fatigue shifting to a dawning clarity, like fog lifting to reveal the cage she'd built around herself. Nina nodded, eyes fierce with advocacy. Exactly. Track it, and you'll see how love without limits turns toxic. You deserve space, Maya, not silence. As they sat there, the notebook between them a talisman of possibility, Maya wondered, can you even spot the edges of your own world if you keep swallowing the words that define them? That night, the camera lingers on Nina's worn notebook, its edges frayed like old wounds, pages yellowed from too many late-night confessions. Maya's hand trembles as she grips the pen, the lamplight casting shadows that dance across the spiral binding. She's alone in her dimly lit bedroom, the closed door a flimsy barrier against the world outside. But tonight, the words feel heavier than the silence she's carried for years. I start with the first one, she whispers to the page, voice cracking in the quiet. Aunt Rena's unannounced drop-in last spring, boxes of helpful hand-me-downs cluttering the kitchen while she critiqued every meal I prepped for Jamal. I smiled, nodded, said nothing, because what if speaking up shattered the peace? My chest tightens, just recalling it. That knot of anxiety twisting like I'm still there, swallowing the urge to scream, "This is our home, not yours." The pen pauses, ink blotting slightly. Fear of judgment floods her. What if Jamal reads this? What if Nina thinks I'm overreacting, that I'm the problem for wanting space? But she pushes on, the dominant churn of thoughts pulling her deeper. Second moment, the family dinner 2 months ago, Aunt Rena's voice slicing through the chatter. Maya, you can't just let the baby cry it out like that. It's not how we do things. Laughter rippled around the table, Jamal's eyes on his plate, avoiding mine. I bit my tongue until it bled inside. Silence my shield. But it was torture, wasn't it? Each unspoken word eroded me, left me hollow, wondering if voicing it would make me the villain, the one who breaks the family chain. Her breath hitches, anxiety peaking as the third spills out. The group chat explosion last week. Endless pings at midnight. Aunt Rena forwarding articles on proper wife duties, inserting herself into our private plans like she owned them. I muted it, but the resentment built, a storm I couldn't name aloud. Why do I always yield? The question hangs, unspoken, yet screaming in her mind. Can I admit this pain without losing everything? The support, the love that feels more like chains. Nina's voice cuts in from off-screen, imagined or real in this confessional haze. Wait, no, she's there now, leaning over Maya's shoulder in the soft glow. Read it back, Nina says gently, her finger tracing the repetitive phrases. Intrusion, silence, endurance. See the pattern? It's not isolated. It's a rhythm they've set, and you've been dancing to it alone too long. Maya looks up, eyes wide, the anxiety fracturing into something sharper, realization dawning like light through cracks. It's not just me, she murmurs, flipping the notebook shut. Its weight, now an anchor, not a burden. Nina nods, ally in the dimness. Boundaries aren't walls, Maya. They're the words that let you breathe. Saying it out loud, that's where they start. The camera pulls back slowly, the notebook clutched to Maya's chest, a symbol of testimony etched in ink. But the air still hums with the unspoken. What if acknowledging this costs the only family I have? Weeks later, during a family gathering, the kitchen light hung low, casting a weary glow over the dinner table. A scarred wooden slab that should have been our sanctuary, but felt more like a battlefield tonight. Plates clattered softly as Aunt Rena forked into her mashed potatoes, her eyes sharp on me, dissecting every bite I took. Maya, honey, you really should try that new weaning schedule I sent. Little ones need structure, or they'll run wild. Remember how I raised Jamal? No fuss, all discipline. Her voice sliced through the steam rising from the roast, casual, as if she weren't rewriting my motherhood in front of everyone. I gripped my fork, knuckles whitening. Fatigue had been my shadow all day. Endless texts buzzing from the family chat. Her helpful check-ins that left me drained, smiling through gritted teeth. But now, as her words landed like uninvited guests, something shifted. The exhaustion curdled into a slow burn. Resentment flickering in my chest. Why was I the one always bending? The table, laden with half-eaten sides and wilting greens, mocked me. Our shared space, invaded yet again, where boundaries dissolved like salt in soup. Jamal sat across from me, his gaze fixed on his plate, pushing peas around in lazy circles. He chuckled lightly, the sound forced, like he was diffusing a bomb with a feather. Mom's got experience, right? Pass the gravy. No glance my way, no hand on my knee under the table. Just deflection, his go-to shield against the family storm. It hit me then, sharp as a splinter. He was looking away, leaving me exposed, a lone figure in this suffocating circle of scrutiny. The relatives nodded along, forks pausing midair, waiting for my nod of agreement, my silent surrender. My throat tightened. How do you fight for your own air when the person beside you pretends not to see the chokehold? The resentment swelled, hot and unbidden, pushing past the tiredness that had kept me quiet for so long. I set my fork down, the clink echoing too loud in the hush. "Actually, Aunt Rena," I said, voice steady despite the tremor inside. "I've got this, my way." Jamal's eyes flicked up then, surprise widening them. But the damage lingered, the chasm between us widening with every averted look. The table fell silent, tension coiling like smoke. Aunt Rena's smile faltered, but she leaned in, undeterred. And there I was, alone at the heart of it, the dinner we'd prepared together, now a symbol of everything fracturing. The confrontation deepened as the kitchen table loomed between us like a battlefield, scarred by too many unspoken wars. Forks scraped against plates. The family dinner, a ritual of forced normalcy. Roast chicken cooling under the dim overhead light. Steam curling up like unanswered questions. Aunt Rena sat at the head, her chair pulled close, elbows planted as if claiming territory. Jamal fidgeted beside me, his knee brushing mine in a half-hearted anchor, but his eyes stayed fixed on his plate. It started small, as these things always did. My 5-year-old Lila had pushed her peas around, refusing to eat. "She's just tired," I said softly, reaching to clear her spot. But Aunt Rena's voice cut through, sharp as a knife edge. "Tired? Maya, that's no way to raise a child. In my day, we didn't let whims rule the table. Eat your peas, Lila, or no dessert. See? Discipline starts here." Her eyes locked on mine, daring me to contradict. The room hushed. Cousins glanced up from their phones. Jamal cleared his throat, but said nothing. Exhaustion clawed at me, a bone-deep weariness from months of this, unannounced visits. Her texts dissecting my every choice. The way she'd rearrange our cabinets for efficiency, while I bit my tongue. How many times had I swallowed it? Smiled through the suffocation, telling myself it was love, family glue holding us together. "You don't get it," she pressed, leaning forward, her necklace swinging like a pendulum. "Jamal's family does things right. You're too soft, Maya." Letting her run wild now. And what? A spoiled mess later? I know best. I've raised 3 who turned out fine. The words landed like slaps. Public. Undeniable. Lila's eyes widened, mirroring my own frozen shock. The table felt smaller, pressing in, its worn oak surface etched with ghosts of our wedding vows. Promises Jamal and I had whispered over candlelight right here, before his guilt let her in. Fatigue cracked first, a hollow ache in my chest, the kind that blurs vision and weighs limbs. I gripped the table's edge, knuckles whitening against the grain. But the dam broke anyway. Tears welled hot, spilling over before I could stop them. Silent at first, then a sob that rattled the silverware. "Stop," I whispered, voice fracturing. "Just stop." Not a scream, but enough to shatter the pretense. Heads turned. Aunt Rena's triumph flickered in her gaze, lips parting in surprise, then satisfaction. Jamal reached for my hand, but it was too late. The distance yawned wider, his hesitation a fresh wound. The tears kept coming, soaking my napkin, as the question hung unspoken in the steam. How much more of this control could I take, silently, before I shattered for good? In the days that followed, seeking strength, the camera shakes slightly in Maya's hand, capturing the dim glow of her living room lamp. It's late, the suburban quiet pressing in like an uninvited guest. Nina sits cross-legged on the worn couch, her face earnest in the close-up, flipping open that beat-up notebook, pages frayed at the edges, ink smudged from years of confessions. "Okay, Maya, let's run it again." Pretend I'm Aunt Rena, barging in with her helpful meal plan. "What do you say?" Maya hesitates, her fingers twisting the hem of her sweater. The words stick in her throat, a knot of confusion tightening. I don't know, Nina. If I just say no, it'll shatter everything. Jamal's family, they'll see it as me turning my back, like I'm betraying the whole damn loyalty thing. Her voice wavers, eyes darting to the closed bedroom door down the hall, that fragile symbol of the space she's been clawing to keep. Nina leans forward, notebook poised like a script. Exactly why we practice. Boundaries aren't bombs, Maya. They're shields. Watch. She clears her throat, slipping into character with a mock squint. Oh, Maya dear, I've got this recipe for your little one's lunch. Much better than whatever you're doing. Let me just take over the kitchen tomorrow. Maya swallows, the air thick with tension, her own doubts clashing against Nina's steady push. She sets the camera on the coffee table, angling it to catch both their faces, and stands. Heart pounding, she tries. Aunt Rena, I appreciate the thought, but no. Our kitchen, our rules, please don't come unannounced. The words come out small, rehearsed, but raw, like whispering a secret she's not sure she owns. Nina nods, scribbling furiously in the notebook. Stronger. Feel that? It's not rejection. It's you choosing air to breathe. They go again, Maya repeating the lines, her posture shifting from slump to straight. Confusion ebbs as she paces, voice gaining edges. What if Jamal thinks I'm picking fights? He avoids this stuff, like the plague. Then loop him in first, Nina says, tapping the notebook. Practice that too. Jamal, I need us as a team here. Boundaries for our home, not against your family. He's your ally, not the audience. By the third run, Maya's eyes spark with something new. Determination flickering, like a held breath released. She grabs the notebook, flipping to a blank page, jotting her own version. No more silent nods. This is self-preservation. But as she glances at the camera, a shadow lingers. How do you convince them a boundary isn't betrayal, just the line where love stops suffocating? Finally, that resolve carried into the evening. The camera shakes in my hand, capturing the dim glow of our bedroom lamp, the one with the frayed cord we've never replaced. I'm slumped against the headboard, fatigue weighing on me like an uninvited guest who won't leave. My eyes burn from another day of blurred lines. Aunt Rena's texts buzzing through dinner, her voice echoing from the hallway earlier, reminding me to check on the baby's routine. Jamal sits on the edge of the bed, his shoulders hunched, scrolling his phone like it's a shield. Jamal, I say, my voice cracking like dry leaves. It's barely above a whisper, but the exhaustion in it fills the room. We need to talk about the door. This door. I gesture to the one behind him, ajar just enough for shadows to slip through. It has to stay closed. Not cracked, not unlocked. Closed. For us. Just us. He looks up, his dark eyes flickering with that familiar hesitation, the one that's kept us treading water in this family tide. His thumb pauses on the screen. A group chat notification, probably from her. Aunt Rena, always there, even when she's not. He sets the phone down, slow, like he's deciding whether to dive in or swim away. Maya, I get it. You've been carrying this, all of it. The air thickens. I lean forward, my heart pounding against the ribs I've hidden behind for too long. It's not just tonight. It's every night. Her knocking, her just checking, turning our space into, I don't know, a public square. I can't breathe anymore. My words tumble out, raw, no filter for the camera. Fatigue claws at me, making my hands tremble, but I keep going. If we don't draw this line, right here, with this door, when will we? Jamal rubs his jaw, the stubble rasping under his fingers. For a beat, silence stretches, the kind that could swallow us whole. Then he nods, not the vague dip of avoidance, but a real one. You're right, we set the rules here. I'll talk to her. Now, we find Aunt Rena in the living room, perched on our couch like she owns the cushions, flipping through a magazine with that knowing smile. The family meeting she called casual, but it's anything but. Her way of staking claim on our evening. Jamal clears his throat, standing taller than I've seen in months. I hover in the doorway, camera off now, but the scene plays in my head like a confessional loop. "Mom," he starts, voice steady. "Maya and I need some space. The bedroom door? It's staying closed. No knocks, no peeks. That's our line. We love you, but this is our home." Aunt Rena's magazine snaps shut, her eyes narrowing behind her glasses. "Jamal, honey, it's just concern. Family helps family. What's a door between us?" Her tone drips with that old manipulation, the kind that twists loyalty into chains. Tension coils in the room, external and sharp, like a wire pulled taut. But Jamal doesn't back down. He steps closer, finally choosing us. "It's not just a door, Mom. It's respect. Boundaries aren't betrayal. They're what keep us from breaking." His words hang there, a turning point I didn't see coming. I feel it shift inside me, the fatigue ebbing, replaced by a quiet resolve, like steel forming in my chest. I pull out Nina's notebook from my pocket, scribbling the moment, the time, the words. Proof that I'm not imagining this control slipping back into my hands. Aunt Rena huffs, crossing her arms, but she doesn't argue further. Not tonight. The door clicks shut behind us later, solid, symbolic, a fragile barrier, but ours. As Jamal's arm finds my waist, I wonder, can we really draw a line so firm that no one crosses it? Or will love always test the lock? In the aftermath, the air in the townhouse still hums with the echo of raised voices. That tense standoff in the living room where I finally laid it out, clear as the line I'm drawing now. Aunt Rena's face had twisted, all that feigned concern cracking into something sharper, but she backed off. "Fine, Maya," she'd snapped, grabbing her purse with a huff. "If that's how you want it." And just like that, the front door clicked shut behind her, leaving Jamal and me in the sudden quiet, his hand hovering near my shoulder, like he wasn't sure if touching me would break the spell. I'm exhausted, bone-deep tired from holding my ground, my voice raw from spelling out the rules. No more unannounced visits, no popping in to check on things, no rewriting our life like it's her script. The choice was mine to make, right there in the heat of it. Swallow it down like always, or speak up and risk the fallout. I chose me. For once, I grab my phone, the camera shaky in my grip, handheld, like these confessions always are. The lens finds the closed bedroom door at the end of the hall. Solid oak, painted that soft gray we picked out together. Now a quiet sentinel. It's not locked, but it might as well be. This is my line in the sand, the fragile barrier I've been too scared to enforce. I zoom in, the wood grain blurring slightly as my hand trembles. "Look at this," I whisper to the screen, my breath fogging the glass. A closed door. Simple, right? But it means something now. It means we're not just a revolving door for everyone else's opinions. Jamal's in the background, leaning against the kitchen table, that worn witness to too many silent compromises, watching me with eyes that finally see it. No deflection this time. No, Mom's just worried. He nods, slow, like he's catching up to the weight of what I did. The tension between us eases a fraction, his shoulders dropping as he steps closer. "You're right," he murmurs, and it's tentative, but real. The family's web, feels a little looser. Our marriage, a touch more ours. Relief washes in, cool against the fatigue, like exhaling after holding your breath too long. But as I lower the phone, staring at that door, the question lingers. Can you really keep the peace without giving pieces of yourself away? I think, maybe yes, if you choose the door that closes on the chaos.